And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford. Come right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture in a exceedingly less frustrating show, the Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On this week's episode, we talked the Xbox Showcase, Bad Boys, Ride or Die, and more. So go ahead and check it out today, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, of course, Mr. Joe Soro. Please go ahead and check him out today at Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com. Also, as well, of course, he is behind the great site, Lakers Ball. Of course, one of the guys, as Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Plus, also, of course, our good friends, John Costa, Clutch Talk at Lakers Corner. He's mad and frustrated. Stone Hansen, he actually saw this coming, but he's probably still mad and frustrated. You can see what he's doing today at report_court on Twitter. Also, as well, what's up, Eric? And what's up, Blaine? Also, as well, our good friends, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights, Yo, John McCallion. They're all frustrated. But please go ahead and support their channels. And speaking of supporting great channels, including the Lakerholics, who I know are frustrated, which I will tell you about one of them in a moment. Really good stuff on Twitter. Go ahead and support Lakerholics.com, but support all these great channels, including ours, by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It's great because I was kind of worried when I was coming back from Hawaii. We had lost a few subscribers and gone down to 1605, but we've gone back up once again. We are now at 1623 at my last count. If I'm 1625, even better. So please go ahead and support us today by liking, subscribing, following. Do whatever you can to go ahead and help us out. It is truly appreciated from all of us, even though we're frustrated here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Well, the Lakers, again, have been, as I said earlier on today's show, the unbreaking news that it was, the Lakers have become the laughingstock of the NBA for today. Fans from all around the world, NBA fans and non-NBA fans alike, are sharing in their glee about what happened with the Lakers getting spurned by UConn's Dan Hurley, the reported 6 years, $70 million offer. Not good enough to come cross-country to coach the Lakers. So we now come crawling back to the Pat Riley-esque, as he was once called, the guy who the Lakers are so intrigued with. They were so intrigued with JJ Redick, the podcaster, that they decided they wanted to go ahead and pitch Dan Hurley. They decided that they wanted to go ahead and be so intrigued into James Borrego that they decided to go ahead and pitch Dan Hurley. So how does it make you feel out there? I've been seeing all day the social media, the reports and the emails back and forth here at Lakers Fast Break at yahoo.com, but everybody is a layer of angry. And I think I'll put it in context to you like this. And Joe, please change your name because I don't like seeing my name twice. Although if you want to, I can, but it's just, I'm not that big ego guy. But all right, whatever. I will say, though, that even the most ardent of purple and gold fans, the guys who cannot see anything outside of purple and gold, i.e. Laker Tom, even Laker Tom is so upset with what's going on as far as the mishandling of the 6 years, $70 million offer, way too low to get a guy like Dan Hurley over to us. In fact, if you go to Laker Tom right now, I don't want to put it on the screen because we're trying to cut down on our expletives, but Laker Tom, the guy who always sees purple and gold no matter what the situation, no matter how crazy it is, he said 8 hours ago, read the effing room. I almost dropped an F-bomb. He said, that summarizes the hopeless naivety and blind and deaf instincts of Jeanie Buss and Rob Pelinka. Who, by the way, in Jeanie Buss, it was so funny because Henry Hill from Courtside Lakers sent us an Instagram what she was doing this morning, walking her dogs with ducks behind it, with her and Jay Moore, so cute and wonderful, not caring at all that she was about to get spurned by Dan Hurley. But thinking beating UConn's by a few million would be enough to lure the best college coach to move across country, even fools knew Lakers needed to go all in. In fact, there's more to Laker Tom's rants and ravings. In fact, he even said today on Twitter that if the Lakers go ahead and go after James Borrego, he might quit his Lakers fan. That's a direct quote. He is frustrated. You out there are frustrated. Joe and I are always frustrated. We're always ranting. So, how do you feel out there? We've been engaging all day, and we're going to tell you right now exactly how we have been seeing it. But it is, of course, the man behind Simblades. Simblades with a Y.com. It is Joe Soro. Joe, I'm trying to fix my sound, but it seems the levels seem to be going fine. Maybe it's my ranting and raving. Maybe it's the way I'm so frustrated. But that's just me. You're frustrated and ranting and raving, but that's just you. Now, everyone, Joe, in Lakers fandom out there is as pissed off as you and I. Isn't that wonderful?
I don't know if anger is the place on that.
Check out Twitter for 5 minutes. Yeah, you might.
Well, Twitter is always angry. They hate everything and they're angry because there's a lot of bots and trolls and
Intel, what's up, my friend? Great to have you here. Good to see you, my friend.
Foreign entities that are trying to rile up people here in America so that they can create angst and frustration from within. That's not an exaggeration. I actually have intel on that, by the way.
There you go. Good to see you back.
Yeah. The Lakers probably are going to have to get a coach, and I don't believe it's going to be JJ Redick. I believe they're going to have to get a coach that they are going to have to prepare to let go in a couple more years, because there's going to need to be a revamp once LeBron is gone. Unless by some miracle LeBron decides to test free agency and go to Philly or something. I don't see that happening. I see the Lakers re-signing LeBron and trying to go at it again in the next year or two. And that's that on that. But as far as a coach, I wouldn't be surprised if they hired James Borrego, because he is an existing coach. He's an assistant coach with the New Orleans Pelicans. He's been a head coach, and you bring someone like that in and see if he can make some things work. At least he's got some conditioning there. Mm-hmm. And you can't really risk bringing in somebody new.
Intel, you're awesome, man.
You can't risk bringing in somebody new right now, and you can't risk bringing in a redux of another coach. It's just not going to work. Whether someone like James Borrego would work, that's still an unknown. Maybe he does, and I think they'll probably risk that versus putting in someone that's already been rumored to not have players respect him already, even guys on the Laker team. Again, I don't even know if this stuff is true. A lot of this stuff could be lies. More than likely it is. But I'm just not a fan of JJ Redick, the person, in terms of not like person, like I don't think he's a bad guy. I just don't like his demeanor and his aura that would involve being a head coach and leading people. I don't believe he is a leader. I believe he is a self-preservation, self-promoting type guy. Most are. You might ask, well, Joe, everyone is promoting themselves. Everyone does commercials. Everyone does this for their brand. Sure. But those who I've seen do that also produce as coaches and actually win and are in positions for a while, i.e. Phil Jackson is one. Pat Riley is another. But I just don't see that I don't see where the respect level would be with someone like JJ Redick. And I don't believe Jay Wright's coming anytime soon. So this is looking like the Lakers are going to have to take a new guy, bring a new guy in here, someone that they're not going to have to pay a lot of money for, and maybe they'll probably wish that it could be something similar to what went on with Frank Vogel, where maybe it clicks and they start winning again if they can supply the roster with some talent between now and this beginning of the year.
Intel, again, thank you so much for supporting us. Truly appreciated. Xbox as well. Cannot thank you both enough for the super chat. Truly appreciate it. Xbox says, in honor of Intel, sorry, I'm not as minted as you know what? We're just grateful for any contribution anyone makes to us. It really does help us out here at the Lakers Fast Break. And Intel, it is great to have you back. A beacon of light in what is otherwise a dark day for the Lakers.
I will be back. I am going to have a nightcap for Intel. I will be back. 1 second.
You got it. He will be back. All right. And in that note, Al, he gets that together. I'm just going to go ahead and say, you know, people look to Joe and I for the angry rants all the time. I've actually been called on it quite a bit. So is Joe. They look forward to it. And especially in frustrating situations like these. But it's kind of weird. You guys out there are the ones that are ranting and raving and screaming when it looked more and more like, to me, the longer it was going to take to make a decision, the less likely it was going to happen. And in Joe's case, we just, same as me, we just don't see very good coaching alternatives after Dan Hurley spurned us. So it really just hurts right now for us. But what I want to say is, when a guy like Laker Tom, who, as I've always joked on this show, just cannot see anything else but purple and gold, no matter how crazy or outlandish it is, to see him quote out there, although I don't actually think it's going to be the case, but to see him put himself out there, it says if the Lakers hire James Borrego, that may end his Lakers fandom. That's how much on the edge he is in regards to the mishandling of this coaching circus. And I had said before that I thought that the Lakers, I was kind of worried that the Lakers did not have a plan in place once they fired Darvin Ham. Okay, we're going to fire Darvin Ham, but who do we have instead? Who do we have in place as far as someone we're going to line up to be the next coach? I wasn't sure if they had a game plan. It looked very haphazard and scattered. The people that were mentioned quite frequently, and still quite frequently, are not the greatest candidates in the world. So with that being said, I had my concerns and I shared them on the show. But I thought, you know what? As Intel Wild, he gets it. There you go. All right. For Joe, I don't think it's in celebration, but I think it's to honor Intel Wild's return to the show. I do want to say, though, that it's not surprising that we got to this point, Joe. Just the planning. It looks like they did have a plan, Joe. That's great. But to not understand that you have to really overpay if you want this candidate, Joe, to move his entire life and his family from one side of the country to the other. Not just a minimal or a nice little pay raise. We're talking he had to have been swooned by the Lakers. And you have to plan these things out as an organization. They got to go in the boardroom when they say, okay, we're going to fire Darvin Ham, Joe, but we're going to go after Dan Hurley, but we got to give him like a buco bucks offer. That's where it all fell apart.
Salute to Intel and everyone on the show from Australia to the end of the world. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I will answer your question here. Nice and smooth. I don't know what happened. I don't believe anything Woj says. I don't believe anything Sham says. I don't believe anyone. Nothing. Zero. So let's assume, and I want to put that in there, as much as it makes us look like an ass, maybe. Let's assume they were that tone deaf that they couldn't understand that that deal wouldn't resonate. Let's just say they sat there and they actually said, ooh, this contract.
He did it again, Joe.
Looks like I'm going to have two
you're
tonight.
amazing.
We're going to be here for a while, folks. It looks like we're going to be a while.
It looks like we're going to be here for a while.
So that's good because I have an open morning tomorrow. I can probably sleep in a little bit. My evening doesn't open till about noon tomorrow, which is rare. But anyways, so that right there, a 6-year, $70 million contract. Now, some can say, well, Joe, come on. He's going to be the sixth highest paid coach in the NBA, and he's never coached. Okay, yeah, you have some validity there. But how are you going to get that guy from Connecticut, where he's a god, to LA? You can't just be the sixth best paying coach. You got to think ahead. You got to really invest in this. You got to invest in the culture change. This would have been a culture change. This would have been a coach that you brought in, that you essentially told even the great LeBron James and Anthony Davis that this guy is going to start calling the shots. Now, what does that mean? What it means is I don't believe the money was the problem. I believe the problem was the Lakers weren't letting him be the culture change. It was kind of like half-ass. We're going to give you this money. You're like the it guy right now out of nowhere, but we're still going to do what we're doing. Not enough. You needed to go all in. You needed to give him a $100 million contract, and you needed to tell LeBron, are you going to listen to this coach? Do you really want to win a championship? Because you and AD have to fall in line if you want any shot at winning another title before you retire. And if LeBron says, I don't know, yes, maybe, or whatever, if it's not a clear sign, if it's not a clear understanding that you put those guys in the room and you're like, what do you think? Then you have to tell LeBron James, LeBron, we're not going to extend you. So either you play out your last year's contract or you opt out. But Jeanie and Rob don't have that kind of fortitude. They wouldn't do that. They're wussies. They're status quo. They're the type of people who will look at you in the face and then talk behind your back like most people. They don't have any balls to say stuff like that. Look what Pat Riley did to the number one guy he's had for 5 years, because the guy said one dumb thing publicly. He's been doing dumb things, for a while, but this one was like the cake. Like, dude, if you're going to talk smack and you're not playing, you should shut up. That's the culture change. And Dan would have been that guy. Dan is cut from the same cloth. Dan is cut from Bob Hurley. And then he's got a brother, Bobby Jr., who's feisty. If you don't believe me, watch I Hate Christian Laettner on 30 for 30. You'll find out who Bobby Hurley is.
I have.
Right.
I've seen it.
The family is, I always say the family is a better version of the Harbaugh family, because Harbaugh sometimes come off more whiny, whereas the Hurley family, to me, doesn't come off whiny. They just come off mean as hell. Crazy Irish family. And you needed to go all in. $70 million was not enough. I heard that Kentucky had offered him 11.
That's what I said in the morning. Yeah, sure.
Right?
I got sent a report on Twitter. Now, again, it's a report, so you could take it for what it's worth, Joe. That supposedly Kentucky was offering him 11 per year, and the Lakers total comes out to 11.6. That's not going to get it done.
Roy, I can't go by anything else other than assumptions in a lot of ways, because I don't know, because of the same reason that you're saying that I can't assume, but I have to assume. I have to do a show. I have to assume what happened based off of the history of the Lakers. The history of the Lakers is that they don't pay coaches a lot of money. When they have, it was Phil Jackson. And even when it was Phil Jackson, his last season in 2011, he had to take a pay cut. This is after he won back-to-back championships. He was asked to take a pay cut. So that's evidence that the Lakers have always been slow in the paying of the coach department. And if Kentucky indeed was offering $11 million and the Lakers are offering 11.6, what does that tell you? That tells you that the Lakers couldn't even beat Kentucky's number. Well, Joe, it's 11.6. That's $600,000 more. No, I'm talking about, you guys, in the real world, we have to talk about taxes. Now, California has taxes on top of taxes, and then another tax to tax the tax, and then tax you on that for thinking about taxes. Oh, and by the way, they also add in a millionaire tax in LA so that they can keep building those tents around Staples.
Pretty bad right now.
What else could it be, folks? Are you going to sit here and tell me that the Lakers made an offer and then went, gosh, I thought we had him? Seriously.
Oh my gosh.
Are they doing that? Did that happen? Did that really happen?
You're awesome, man.
Evidence from past, present, until now says that the Lakers are always at half staff. We were doing this morning. It's not all the way this way because they tried, but it just can't go all the way up. Alan N knows what half staff is. That's how his operates all the time.
Alice says she's not disappointed. I just think, Alice, when it comes right down to it, it's just a sign that, you know, whether or not you agree or disagree about, you know, Dan Hurley being the Lakers coach or not, it's just a sign that common sense is not fully there in El Segundo at the Lakers offices, which I have been trying to communicate to you viewers out there for a long time. Yes, we might have problems with the roster, the players, LeBron, AD, the coach, all of that. And I've always said it's a shared organizational blame when they lose. But nobody is able to go ahead and tell Rob and Jeanie enough is enough. You two need to step aside because what you're doing isn't working. I've said this for years. People have defended it on this show. People defended it in the chat. But each and every day, the more Joe and I get proven right. Joe and I don't agree on everything, but we do agree on how bad this organization is being run. If you continually want to be a 7th place in the Western Conference team, knock yourselves out. We'll be here to talk about it. But you and your frustrations will continue to grow out there. And that's what I feel bad for the most, Joe, is because you and I are not upset. We're not ranting and raving right now, Joe. of all the people that should be ranting or raving, it's you and I. But we saw this coming. We see the ineptness at the highest level. We've been saying it to you guys for a long time. And this just, this reaffirms it, Joe, about just how bad the organization is being run right now.
I found it fitting, and it was nice to know that I wasn't exaggerating. Our cohorts posted a link of an Instagram for Jay Moore. And what a surprise. What were they doing? I mean, about a beta move that you can make as a man.
Mm-hmm.
Recording your wife walking a bunch of dogs. Geez, people, could you be any more unoriginal? Recording your dogs on your Instagram.
Watching some ducks. Follow them, by the way. Don't forget the ducks.
Yeah, it's just it's the play. You want more evidence, Roy? You want more evidence, folks? I'm a family man. I have children. I have a wife. I have all that stuff that you have when you have a family. But that doesn't mean you lose your identity. You think Pat Riley lost his identity? He's been married for 50 years. He's going to be 80 years old, and he still will rip your throat out. Jerry West is in his 80s. Somebody asked him about being a dog, as a compliment. And he goes, I was never a dog. I was a wolf. Wolf eat dogs. This is who we want. We don't have any wolves, dogs. We don't have any big dogs anyways. We have poodles. We have chihuahuas running our company.
My guess, JY, is probably Jay Wright's out of the picture. I don't think Joe.
What was the word I heard today? The stealth candidate? That was an original word. What the hell does that mean? New York Post. Where did you pull that out of your rear end while you were taking a break from all the political trash that you always put out? Seriously. Where'd you get that word? Stealth candidate. What does that even mean? And why the hell would Jay Wright take the job?
Going to need a lot more than that.
Because if I'm Jay Wright, the first person I'm talking to is Dan Hurley. What happened over there? Well, they made a compelling offer, Jay. Compelling offer. If somebody told me that in a meeting, we just sent out a commercial bid that was $1.6 million. If they came back to us and said that was a compelling offer, what do you think that answer means?
Means they're about ready to reject.
It means they're going to go with somebody else.
Yes.
Now, my case is a little different. It's not sports. Most companies want to take the lesser number, right? But the buzzwords are all over, folks. I think if there's something you guys are ever going to get out of this show, especially now, is you guys are going to learn the buzzwords. I'm going to teach you guys the buzzwords. Because the only reason why I'm not as lethal as I should be is I'm going to be sitting around all day angry. I know it looks like that on the show, but I'm really not, folks. I'm not an angry guy off the air. I'm angry in spurts, but it goes away. I'd say I've been more angry about I've been more angry at Laker management than I have in anything else in my life. And the reason why I'm angry is because I have to watch this. Because I'm tied to it now. I'm stuck. I hate when that happens. But the only solace I have in it is I get a chance to talk to my good friend Gerald, Sean, Nick, Henry, Stone, and then every one of you. So I'm stuck. It's like I'm in a paradox. If I leave and actually be more productive than talking about these schleppers, then that means I'm not going to talk to you guys. And I can't really have a show if I'm not watching what's going on, which is really bad right now, especially if they end up I mean, the perfect ending of this disaster, honestly, is if they bring in Bronny. At that point, it's the guillotine.
I hope that goes viral if that happens. And one more, Joe, is from Intel Wild. You're just too awesome. I just, again, what your contributions aside, it's just good to know you're around and okay. I know Xbox, myself, and some others were asking about you last week, and we were just wondering if you were okay. And it's good to see that you're okay. Yes, contributions are greatly appreciated, but just good to see you in the chat. And thank you so much again for your kindness to us. And Joe's liver, he had actually not, to be honest with you, Intel and everyone out there, everyone knows Joe has not been drinking for a while, but that changes tonight.
Yeah, it's I'm not a drinker. I really am not. I'm a social drinker. I drink with my friends like I am right now. I don't drink by myself. It's very rare that I do. I'll have a beer when I'm watching maybe a game or something, but it's very rare. And it's only enjoyable when you can get that little buzz and you have your friends buzz a little bit. Dialogue gets a little more snappy. I think the most enhanced substance I've ever taken in my life where I felt like, whoa, something's really changed. After my reconstructive surgery on my shoulder, I had hydrocodone, which hydrocodone is a very low version of like an opiate. I don't even know if that's accurate, but something that numbs the pain. And I remember I could write, I felt like I was writing poems after I took that stuff. And I quickly told my wife at the time, I said, I know the doctor says, take those if I'm in pain. I want you to flush those down the toilet. Me on some kind of psychedelic, some kind of enhancer is not, that is a scary area to be because it's enhancing the skill sets. And that's why people get addicted. So you got to end it quick. But back to the management of this team. I don't want to say I'm wishing for this team to falter next year, but I do think at this point, should they not be able to bring in anyone of significance or have any of their draft picks pan out next year, it's a year to advance deep in the playoffs and compete for a title. And will that mean Jeanie would finally have to go another way with her leadership? And will she pick the right person? That's another issue.
Our only hope, then, you're saying, is that Tim Conley's situation in Minnesota, because he is staying on for one more year at least. He's evaluating the situation. You're saying that you're hoping that Tim Conley's situation in Minnesota goes bad?
Yes, I do. Well, he's likely leaving, especially if the Alex Rodriguez reign becomes official.
Well, Bloomberg might be the money man in this situation because he is stepping in with those two guys.
He's not. Look, Alex Rodriguez will never own a sports franchise, much like LeBron will never own a sports franchise. You have to have 18 to 20 generational type money. I'm talking 5, 10. 15,
well, Bloomberg,
right?
Yeah, he's putting in the money.
These people who say, "Oh, he's going to go own it." No, folks, these guys don't have that kind of money. They don't have that kind of money to be majority single decision maker owners. It'll never happen. You think LeBron is going to get Vegas when they expand? Are you nuts? You have any idea how much that's going to cost? LeBron just became a $1 billionaire in net worth. That doesn't mean he has $1 billion in his pocket. That's his net worth. Means nothing. Net worth means nothing.
It might be $500 million just to pay the other owners to get in the door.
Just to pay. And that
just
might be more.
Just the fee.
That might be more by the time they actually expand. Everything that Adam Silver has said about expansion has been
He's dragging it out, Joe.
There's not enough talent to supply 2 more teams.
He knows this.
The league is already watered down.
But the money might be too good to pass up, Joe.
True, but you also have to have a good product. You already have problems. Matter of fact, they're better off moving 2 teams to Vegas and Seattle. I think expanding is actually not the way to go.
Who would you move? Charlotte would probably be wrong.
Absolutely Charlotte. Charlotte should have never had a second team.
Would you move the Wizards?
No. It's too much history there.
Where would you go with next? Memphis is supported.
Memphis is supported. I don't think they need to go anywhere.
Toronto?
No, Toronto's supported.
You need a Canadian team, I think.
I wish they had found a way to keep Vancouver, but
see, that's a good question. We can all think of Charlotte for one.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think one team should move and then have one expansion.
Okay.
And what I would do is I would move Charlotte. I would move
create
Charlotte
an
to
odd number of
Vegas.
teams.
I would move Charlotte to Vegas. Bring back the Seattle Supersonics and their history, and then Oklahoma City Thunder can be a retroactive expansion team. What, 15 years later with their own history?
That would be 31.
No, you're moving. Oh wait,
you said you're moving one and adding one.
That is true. Maybe I made a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna have to keep it even. Would be my suggestion. 30 or 32. But the money again, even Adam Silver. I mean, we pick on Adam Silver all the time, Joe. But Adam Silver at least is reading the room.
Well, I never picked on him until he.
But lately you've been a little bit harsh because of the decisions that he's made recently. But what I'm saying is that even he is reading the room, unlike Jeanie and Rob, and saying, you know what, we may ultimately have to expand because you just can't keep saying no to the money forever. But I understand that it waters down the talent in the league.
I would move New Orleans. I don't
guy.
think anybody in New Orleans cares a damn about the Pelicans. So I would move Charlotte and New Orleans to Vegas and the Supersonics.
So let's bring it back to what we're talking about with today's jilted coach. As far as is concerned, as far as us being concerned, it just tells you, and I think it tells the audience out there and also as well the fans of the Lakers nation that's out there that this is just, there's some issues there. There's some issues and concept of reality that they don't understand what it takes to get a top of the line coach, Joe. So that's why we're stuck with a retread like Borrego or a podcaster like JJ Redick or an assistant coach who has not stepped 1 foot, on a head coaching atmosphere like some of the other options that are available out there. It's just not an appealing roster of coaching talent right now.
If I'm James Borrego, I'd take the Cleveland job like Jason.
Yeah, he probably will. I was talking to Mike Anguilano. Yeah, he probably will.
Yeah.
But they haven't done it already, which is kind of puzzling.
So what do the Lakers do now? Do they fall on JJ Redick?
By default?
You really want you want your default to be a guy who hasn't coached in the NBA and is already not liked, allegedly, by some of the players in LA?
That you came crawling back to after you got jilted by Dan Hurley?
I mean, wouldn't put it past. That's their operation, isn't it?
Yeah.
They can't get Ty Lue, which at the time I was in agreement with. He had no reason to earn a 5-year contract. He was having heart attacks in Cleveland before he left there or got fired. Then Monty Williams denied them because Monty Williams didn't want to coach LA. He decided he'd be better off in Phoenix. And then you fell on Frank Vogel, whom you still treated like garbage, even though he won a championship, and you're still reeling from it right now. You should have just kept him.
Did they just finish paying him off? I think his contract would have ended this season, correct? Or this past season. Frank Vogel's.
There's going to have to be an out-of-the-box decision here. Are the Lakers going to find another surprise candidate? That's the question I want to ask. Is there somebody else out there we don't know about that would be like, ooh? And I don't want to hear about stealth options. I don't know where the hell they pulled that out of their rear end. Jeez.
By the way, SST HAG says, Joe, if you move those teams, aka Charlotte and New Orleans, how would you break up the conferences?
So New Orleans and Charlotte
to go to the West.
Yeah, so you can use Charlotte.
Are Minnesota and OKC then the furthest east teams, or am I mistaken?
You can switch New Orleans to the east.
No, but you're bringing New Orleans and Charlotte.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Seattle and Las Vegas. So who are the farthest east teams in that Western Conference?
That's a good question.
One of the Texas teams,
so you're
Minnesota.
Gonna go west. You're going to go west. So now you have one team that needs to move from the Western Conference. So I would move Memphis. And that was even if it was two expansions. Move Memphis to the Eastern Conference.
The easy one. Okay.
They're really east anyways.
Yeah.
They're the most eastern team in the West.
Because they were Vancouver. So
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that would solve the 15-15. It would be actually a better alignment at that point.
Pale Fox. Pelinka's Kurt Rambis in a tan suit before sundown. That's funny. But again, yes, the frustration I can sense from all of you out there. I truly appreciate you supporting us, and we're here to support you. Again, we're not ranting and raving, Joe and I. We save that for the actual frustrating moments for us, but this is now a frustrating moment for our audience, Joe. You can sense it. I've seen it all day. I've seen it in the comments. When I posted the previous episode, which was the Dan Hurley jilting us episode, I got the comments there. It's absolutely sad to me to see the frustrations among these fans who've been so loyal to this team for so many years, Joe.
We're coming off spoiled and no one cares.
Yeah, Roy, I'm not changing the name of this channel to Anything Vegas channel. I live here in Vegas, but I'm still a Lakers fan.
It's not so much being ungrateful to what the Lakers organization has done. Is their inability to do their job is really where the rant is. Why do these people have? Why did Charlotte get a second team? And if you look at the history of that, I have to say, folks, that too many people have opportunities for the wrong reasons. Too many people are put in the positions because of nepotism or because they want to fulfill a box. Well, this is the result. There's no reason why the LA Lakers shouldn't be always equipped with the best people running the organization. You have everything at your disposal. You have history. You have players that are still around that you could put all-time Lakers as the greatest NBA players. Lakers have second team players that could be all-time greats. That's how much talent has come through LA and the Lakers. You have everything at your disposal. You're in Hollywood. You're in LA. You have history. You have championships. You have great players. How is it so hard to not have the right people in the right positions? That's the part that I'm confused with.
let me ask you this. I know you said you do not want to get off the Anthony Davis, as far as, again, we'll just go back and forth all day on it. I'm not going to do that right now, but you seem ready to move on, just like what Brenton says from LeBron James. Rob Pelinka, to be honest with you, Brenton, Joe and I have been, that's one place where we agree. We've been off of him as a general manager for a long time. His talent evaluation skills have been bad. Yes, he did luck into the 2020 championship. He'll always do that. I know Pale Fox was talking about how he backstabbed Magic, but let's just be honest here. Was Magic really a good GM either? If Visa Zubats trade. So, okay. But, well, both actually him and Rob were in the room doing that trade. So, I digress. His talent evaluation, Joe, has been below average. And you guys out there gave him so many flowers at not this season, but last season's trade deadline for the miraculous moves that he made that got the Lakers, admittedly, to the Western Conference Finals. Whether you want to say it's in a bad year or got all the breaks, whatever, they got to the Western Conference Finals. But for the most part, Joe, we have seen poor talent evaluation from Rob Pelinka. Reading the room, as Laker Tom said earlier today, is not his specialty. I told you before, I nearly threw up the day that he traded for Russell Westbrook. I knew it was a mistake right from the get-go. I said it here on the air that it was a mistake. I knew then that he should have not been the GM for the Los Angeles Lakers, and it's not gotten much better since, in my opinion.
No, and he shouldn't be the GM right now, and Jeanie shouldn't be the owner. Or if she was the owner, I don't want to see her. I don't want to see her. I want her just focusing on letting the smart people run that organization. Otherwise, you serve no value to this team other than just this. And then you can blame it on what most people blame it on. Oh, well, they don't like me because I'm a woman or something like that. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and think if that's what it is, because I'm starting to hear that right now. You can just feel it. It's there. It's always festering. And we're not going to fall for that. You need to hire a better general manager, VP, whatever. That's it. There's no other way. As far as LeBron James is concerned, thank you, LeBron, for saving the franchise a little bit from our previous issues, which was Rob Sacre, Ryan Kelly, Tariq Black, and that debacle for 2 or 3 years. And thank you for the championship in 2020, but it's time for you to go.
Yep.
It's time for him to go. I would prefer him to opt out and the Lakers not sign him. And then that would make D'Angelo Russell leaving much easier, because you still would have some money now to start planning for the next phase. At least getting ahead of it a little bit.
Roy, I have a feeling that at some point in time, regardless if he stays or goes, that he's going to get his jersey in the rafters. Both him and AD.
No, those jerseys are going up, folks.
Yeah.
They won a championship for LA. They're going up.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not going to sit here and criticize LeBron James for what he's done. I'm now focused on what he can't do anymore, folks. What he can't do. And what he can't do is he can't play defense, and he can't get to the basket for all 4 quarters during the playoffs. It's just simply he can't do it anymore. It's not his fault. He's been in the league too long. This is a basketball decision. That's all it is. It's not me not liking LeBron, even though He irritates the hell out of me half the time. At this point, it has nothing to do with his irritation. It's he's not capable of carrying this team, and
Not at closing on a 40.
And we have not been able to find a coach that can utilize Anthony Davis to his full strength. I still see Anthony Davis camped out 20 feet away from the basket for I don't know what reason.
Chucking up threes.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on there. I don't know. There's no coach that has coached up a system for Anthony Davis. And if you've watched basketball as much as we do, that is a problem. There's no structure to that offense. There's never really been a structure that enhanced offensive skills of this team. Unless you want to call a fast break. I think the Lakers in 2020 were really good at running the break. Yeah.
Well, that's what they were. They were a defensive team first and foremost.
And then they got out.
They thrived off of transition.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they were. That's why they were fun to watch, because they played hard on the defensive end, Joe, and they got out in transition. They weren't a good three-point shooting team at all, but yet they got to the championship because of the things that they worked on, defense and transition. And I was saying it for years that they were getting farther and farther and farther away from that. That's LeBron's specialty, is transition. That's AD's specialty, is inside rim protection, getting out in the open floor, getting him underneath for lobs. That's the best thing he does. That mid-range is okay, but after that, you start doing things that are not his norm. And I was arguing with people, arguing with Z, arguing with other people about why do you want to institute an offense that just does not fit around the best players that you have, Joe? It just didn't make sense.
And you're not utilizing your 1A to its highest ability. Wouldn't you think that you would set up an offense where you can get Anthony Davis easy baskets?
You would think.
You would need several types of options. The intriguing part about Dan Hurley, like Sean said, was he sets up his offense to identify what the defense is doing, and there are going to be unlimited options.
See, again, Pale, it should speak volumes about this organization, Pale. And Joe, when you have LeBron's best shooting year ever, I think this was his best shooting percentage, 41%. I think it beats the year in Miami. I think. Mm-hmm. If not, it's very close to doing so. You had two other volume 42% shooters on the team. You had AD, as you said, having an outstanding year on both ends of the floor, playing 70+ games for you, yet you only managed to squeeze out at the very end a 7th place in the Western Conference from that. How does that happen, Joe? Why does that happen? Because you have a poorly constructed roster around those main guys. And when it comes to LeBron being the basketball genius, supposedly having any offense work around him, obviously him shooting 40% from three isn't enough when you have an incorrect offense that doesn't, really accentuate his talents, but most importantly, like you said, Joe, does not accentuate AD's talents the most.
Here's where we were wrong, folks. We said if Anthony Davis and LeBron James were healthy all year and playing without any major injuries, the Lakers are going to be dangerous. We also said if D'Angelo starts hitting his shots, the Lakers are going to be dangerous.
All three of those things happen.
All three of those things happen. And on top of that, you also had Rui Hachimura, who shot 42% from the field, playing 68 games. Austin Reeves played all 82 games. Who do you want us to now go to in this issue? You got everything you needed, and it still resulted in an early exit. Why? Because you had a numbskull who didn't value playoff positioning in a league where higher seeds win championships. They always have. This isn't hockey. This isn't Major League Baseball. This isn't a one and done thing. Look at the history. Even though things have come back down a little bit, even though Miami, as an 8 seed, got to the finals, twice? They still got waxed. You have to finish the job for you to get credit for that. And there's only one team I've seen in the last 30 years that has won in a low seed, and that is the Houston Rockets in 1995. And that's because Nick Anderson couldn't hit one free throw out of 4 attempts, and Shaq had a habit of getting swept a lot in his career because he had a habit of quitting. Not a lot of people talk about that, but when Shaq gets discouraged, he quits. He doesn't have that fire. He didn't have that fire a lot to go beyond, to deal with the adversity. He did it in LA finally, but he needed someone else that was with him. He needed his teammates that were around him, like D. Fish, Robert Horry, clutch type players, to kind of back him up. But Shaq was notorious for getting swept most of his career. And it's one of those great anomalies. How does a guy that talented get swept so much? Got swept 3-0 by the Pacers. Got swept by the Rockets. Got swept by the Bulls. Got swept by the Utah Jazz. Got swept by the San Antonio Spurs before he won a championship.
Guys, no need to get upset on where Kyrie Irving was born and who is his parents. It's his lineage and all that. As far as it's concerned, it's not worth it. It's not worth getting into.
So Kyrie Irving. Speaking of LeBron, we had to listen to this love fest by LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Where is that love fest? What's that resulted in? Drew Holiday is making Kyrie Irving look like Kyrie Irving his rookie year in Cleveland and his second year in Cleveland. And until LeBron got there, that's when it changed a little bit.
It only matters really if he's Australian or American, if he wants to go ahead and play for the national teams. You know how that works. Joe.
So where am I going with that comment?
Kyle Anderson and playing for the Chinese team.
This is where the fire is going to come now. Okay, I'm waiting to get to my point here because I told everybody I was going to bring the heat a little bit.
You did warn everybody on Twitter.
Okay, and Sean was supposed to be here, but he got tired from his crazy week.
Yes.
When are these dumbskis going to shut the hell up? When is someone going to tell these people to shut up and focus on the job? Why do we care whether this guy loves this guy or that guy? What is this? I miss playing with Kyrie Irving. This is what you report. This is what you talk about. And you want me to respect this? All the LeBron sexuals? The guy does it to himself. And then he hexed Kyrie. He hasn't been able to play since. Stop talking. Shut up. How long have you been in this league? What are you doing this for? Why do you care what this man says? It doesn't matter. We care about the court. We care about what happens on the court. I don't care about LeBron James outside basketball. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. Even if you do care, he doesn't care. Why do you care? Why do we care about feelings? Your team is going south, and I have to hear this garbage.
I'm still thinking of the dumb dumbskis, like Intel.
At what point is someone going to say it? And I'm not talking about the hacks. See, that's the problem. The only people that are talking are hacks and trolls. No one is saying, no one coherent, someone we respect in the industry. No one is saying it out loud to him. And no one says it to his face. That's what you need to do. That's the only way you really get that. But these guys are so protected right now because of feelings, because they don't want to lose their press passes. You guys really want to go to a Laker game? Is it that important? You want to be like Woj and Shams, be a bunch of freaking hacks? Is that what you're living up to? I know why you all want that stuff, because you want to brag it on your social media. Hey, I was hanging out here. You want to go hang around with a bunch of schleppers? Why? Because they're rich? Because they're famous? These people don't care about you. These guys will walk past you if you're burning. They want to do anything. So why am I watching, Joe? Why are you watching if you're so angry? Why are you doing this? Quit. I'm moving out of California because I don't like what they're doing. Oh, so you're just going to keep moving and moving and moving. Until when? Till you die and nothing changes. Yeah, you keep doing that. People keep doing that. Nothing's going to change if you don't do something about it or try. So this is a forum for Laker talk. I'm trying to do something. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know how big we can get to where it'll resonate to where it needs to go. But we have to try. I don't dislike LeBron James for the same reason almost everyone dislikes LeBron James. Most of the people that don't like LeBron James are trolls and jealous schleppers. I don't like LeBron James because he's a jackass. He talks about stuff that are irrelevant. He blogs like a 12-year-old girl in love or was in love with things that are irrelevant to what's going on right now. You want a Dan Hurley to come to that? You want Jay Wright to come to that?
Let me ask you this, Joe. LeBron, when it comes to seeing what he's seeing today, do you think it increases the likelihood of him possibly bailing ship on this falling Lakers franchise?
Not going anywhere.
The money's too good?
Yeah, he's not getting that money anywhere. I don't care what they say in Philly.
Yeah,
not getting that money in Philly.
I was going to say, because they can offer him up to.
If you had a prime Embiid, it'd be a different story, because you get LeBron with Maxey, you probably win a championship next year.
Well, you say that, but he is around the same age as Anthony Davis.
Yeah, but Embiid has had injuries since he came out of Kansas. He missed the first 2 years of his career.
He did with his back. You're right.
Yeah. He's not as bad as Kawhi right now, but he's going to get there.
There were times where it was the other way around, and Anthony Davis was less healthy than Embiid. Right now, you would have to say, and I'll give you that, Anthony Davis is the healthier of the two players.
Anthony Davis's injuries were soft tissue issues and a little bit of his head.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily, oh my God, he tore his knee, or he has heel issues, or he has ankle issues. Anthony Davis softened up a lot of his injuries. Intel, I'm having my second drink. Thank you.
Now, one fly, Mark Jackson's
Salute.
name keeps coming up. I just think, I mean, people just sometimes they have these short memories. They don't understand why Mark Jackson's been a coach persona non grata
It's
since the
clickbait.
Golden State job.
It's clickbait. You want Mark Jackson to coach next to? You want Mark Jackson to coach in LA with what I saw last weekend in LA? Certain stuff going on, flags and stuff in the month of June. No.
Joe, come on.
Just saying. He's not gonna.
He's very devout. I will say that,
and that's why he had to leave Golden State for that reason. It's not gonna happen.
They kind of let him leave Golden State for that reason.
Yeah. It's not
the locker room wasn't exactly thrilled with him, even though they did win 50 games.
They care more about that stuff than they care about basketball. And they got a good replacement, though. Steve Kerr was the perfect coach for that team. And honestly, if you asked me back then, what's the right move? I probably would have been the right move anyways.
Bloodhound, I'm just, I'm just quoting what was said about his tenure at the time and what he would do in the locker room. And at that time,
I actually didn't know that, Bloodhound.
I had heard that as well.
So I had not heard that. That's new to me. Maybe that's why he turned over a new leaf.
Maybe, but again, that's probably why. Again, it just comes down to, Joe, we just don't have great options unless Jay Wright comes walking through that door to make you happy and say, Joe, I'm here to save the Lakers.
You're going to have to
You've been asking for me for years. I'm finally here to meet your request. Outside of that, these candidates just don't, as I always say, move the needle.
You need to have a general manager that's in line with the coach. And you're not going to do that until you get rid of Rob Pelinka.
I've been saying this for years.
Until you do that, I don't know if there's going to be a coach that's going to work until then.
I mean, Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy is the only name in all this I have not heard being thrown around with any seriousness. Even Rajon Rondo's name has been thrown out more often than Jeff Van Gundy. We talk one fly. You're talking about blackballed as far as Mark Jackson out of the league, as far as coaching is concerned. They've really done a number, the NBA has, on Jeff Van Gundy.
The rule in Boston. So I'll make that make sense.
Oh, by the way, drink up, Joe.
I'm drinking up
again.
Let's see here. So was it Flamingo? Oh yeah,
one fly.
So one fly. That was a Boston rule. If he had done that in LA, there would have been no rules broken, and it looks like Houston doesn't have that rule either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a Boston rule.
Thank you, Intel, once again.
That was another one? Jesus.
Yes, that's what I was trying to tell you. But the Udoka thing, it's clear Udoka is a good coach, Joe. I mean, look at how he's turned around Houston and almost snuck them into the playoffs. So,
folks, I can't. I back in the day when I was in transportation, I drove a lady to a destination, and it happened to be the ex of Dwayne Casey.
Coach Dwayne Casey.
Coach Dwayne Casey. and she said she was no longer with him because he was unfaithful. These coaches are all former players typically, and a lot of them live the same lifestyle as their players, which is why there's such a high turnover of NBA coaches in the NBA, because most of these guys are all the same. They all act the same. They all do the same things. There isn't a level above those guys. And those who have stayed and been great coaches, you'll notice, are not like that. Guys like Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Greg Popovich.
Would Dan Hurley been intriguing just because of the fact you thought he would have brought something different to Los Angeles?
Dan Hurley would have started a new culture in LA, more of in terms of starting a new culture that was what used to be the culture that we liked: discipline, respect, and then he had a system that would bring out the best of the players. Whether he could have been able to do it with this roster, probably. I think you could have drawn out Austin Reeves and Rui, and if D'Angelo came back, you can enhance those guys because there is talent there. I don't know if it would have been enough to win a championship, but over time you could build a team to fit everything the right way. But we're not going to know that because they didn't totally commit to letting him be the guy.
And they didn't provide a big enough number. It's just, again, even when Laker Tom, the most ardent and sometimes blind of Lakers fans, who sees nothing but purple and gold, we've often accused his bias of getting in the way of good judgment on his account. Even he, Joe, was frustrated and lashed out on Twitter, dropping the F-bomb, saying that he would drop his Lakers fandom. These are all thoughts from one of the most ardent, the guy names himself Laker Tom, and he says that. What does that say about the frustrations that our audience and the Lakers nation currently have?
How much longer is Jeanie going to be able to handle the negativity before she finally pops? She's sensitive to it, right?
Yeah.
That's why people go get dogs when they're stressed, because dogs don't yell back. Dogs obey. Dogs listen and don't make you go change their diapers or any of that stuff, right? Like children. So there's a psychology tied to all this. There's a psychology tied to anything in business. I'm waiting to see when she pops, because at some point she's going to pop. Does that mean she sells to AEG, the Guggenheims? Hopefully. Guggenheim's in the last...
It's the first place I'd try.
Guggenheim's, the only mistake they've made is they've allowed Friedman to keep a inadequate manager. That's the only mistake they've made.
Yeah, it hurt them this weekend, didn't it?
I think what hurt them this weekend, they beat the Yankees in game 1 and 2, and then Glasnow just made one bad pitch and it ended up costing them the game. I wouldn't say this was a manager error in game 3. That was a bad pitch that got away from Glasnow that ended up being a 3-run homer that ended up costing them the game. Otherwise, it would have been a sweep. But it's not now that I worry about. It's when primetime comes.
Yeah, as we've seen, the success ratio is not great for Dave Roberts.
Yeah.
And your other favorite coach, Mike Tomlin, just got an extension. I thought.
Yeah. Rich Eisen gets on his soapbox and keeps yapping about how great Mike Tomlin is. And
how many games in the playoffs has he won?
He's won 3 playoff games since 2011. It's 2024. And those wins, folks, one was against Matt Moore in Miami. The other was A.J. McCarron in a game they should have lost because Perfect and Pac-Man Jones decided to be idiots. That was a loss. That game was over. Those guys destroyed the game. Otherwise, it would have been 100% loss. And then the only, I'd say, next level win was against Alex Smith in Kansas City in the divisional round, where they didn't score a touchdown. Actually, they won hitting 6 field goals in that game, but then got waxed by New England in the following week. That's it, folks. 3 playoff wins. And I want you guys to listen to this because this pertains to everything we're talking about here. We are being told someone is great by a very popular, seasoned an analyst. You're sitting there insulting people's intelligence by telling us this person is great when they've had 3 playoff wins in 12 years. Why does this continue to happen? Why are you insulting intelligence with stupid dialogue like that? And no one says anything. If they do, it's some Yahoo just yapping on the internet. You need to go to someone's face, sit there and go, Rich, you're wrong. 3 playoff wins. And look at the context, too, of those wins. And look at the losses the last 5 seasons. Destruction. This is where the frustration starts. The frustration is inadequate people that don't do a good job, yet we're being told they're doing a good job. You had the best receiver on your team for 5 seasons, at least. You had the best running back, who was like a pseudo running receiver on top of that, for 3 seasons. And you had a top 5 quarterback, and you couldn't get to the Super Bowl with that in a offensive heavy league. Rob Pelinka is the general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers. Jeanie Buss, the owner, not the governor. She was never elected at that position. Don't insult me with words again. She's the damn owner. It was bequeathed to her, by the way. Okay? Governorships are not bequeathed. You have to be elected. What has she done? Oh, well, Joe, they won in 2020. Yeah, oh, great. Okay, thank you. But what has she done in the other years? We're just going to be happy like Milwaukee and Toronto with that one title? Is that who the Lakers are? Dave Roberts has had the best roster in baseball for at least 5 of his 12 seasons, and he wins 1 World Series. Yeah.
One Fly is asking if Mark Few would be a good candidate, who's the coach of Gonzaga. I understand he has an extremely gaudy record, but I don't believe he has any NCAA tournament championships on his record.
I don't know much about Mark, to be honest with you. I wouldn't know what this says on that. I think from what I do know is I think he's the perfect college coach. I don't know.
He set up a nice system.
He did. He is. And again, you don't have to always win. Eric Musselman has been doing pretty well without winning.
Let's hope he turns around the Trojans.
Don Chaney was great at Temple, didn't even get to a Final Four. But it's difficult. It's a difficult process at this point. It has to be full commitments, but there's going to have to be casualties in the wake, and it's going to be the big names, but they're not willing to make those sacrifices.
And we keep waiting for Cleveland supposedly to hire Borrego, but yet that hasn't happened, curiously. I wonder why that is.
Maybe they're waiting for an assistant from Boston when the season's over.
Could
How
be.
many assistants from Boston since Udoka left have become good coaches? Will Hardy, Missoula. Stick to getting the talent from where it works. Brad Stevens had a pretty good run as a coach, and then understood that he wasn't connecting with those guys anymore. They put him in the front office, and look what he's done. I mean, he should win Executive of the Year this year, in my book, by a mile. That Drew Holiday acquisition, even after the Porzingis thing, absolutely looks like it will win him a title. Unless Kyrie comes back down to earth and Luka goes Luka the next 4 games. Can you argue against it?
It's very frustrating right now, but as Sato, welcome. Truly appreciate you joining the Lakers fast break. He says,
well, I thought Lillard going to Milwaukee was a good call, good deal. I didn't know Dame Lillard was going to be depressed, though. I thought he'd be excited to finally be on a team that had a chance to win. He went into full depression mode.
Yeah, he didn't want to go there, and it wasn't his choice.
I'm trying to figure out how you go from Portland to Milwaukee and get depressed. I would think Portland would be more depressing than Milwaukee. Maybe not.
Maybe not. I mean, well, he had established his legacy in Portland, and the problem is he wanted to dictate where he went from there. And we went over this during the course of that, period of time. How much weight does a player have, or should a player have in these, talks? And again, it's for the betterment of the franchise, and the fans deserve the best deal possible, in my opinion. It's a business. It's sometimes a very unkind one, but it is a business in the NBA, and you have to treat it as such.
Well, it looks like Milwaukee has some issues internally. I think they're playing NBA 2K too much at this point.
Pale, I think Boston will have, once they do the Tatum extension, they'll have the highest salary. But right now it's Phoenix and then Golden State. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Milwaukee looks like there's some internal issues there. I would say it's going to be interesting if they come out first 20 games of next year 8-12. I'm going to be watching what Giannis is doing.
It's going to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You still think he has a lot left in the tank?
Yeah. I think he's got a good 5 years left in him.
Okay.
He takes care of himself. He's had knick-knack injuries, but that tends to happen when you're not happy. You don't tend to play through pain more when you feel supported. Maybe I'm making an excuse for him, but it doesn't look good over there. There's too much disconnect, much like the Lakers.
So with Rob's latest faux pas, Jeanie's latest faux pas, this still doesn't leave out the fact that in less than a month, Joe, free agency starts, and in less than a month, Joe, NBA draft is around the corner. Still some big decisions to be made, not including, of course, LeBron and D'Lo and their possible, what are they going to do? Most likely opt out of their contracts.
It's very likely the Lakers have to hire a coach before the draft.
Mm-hmm. You would think they would.
I would think they would, but it's not a surprise if they don't. You'd like to think that the coach should have some say in who you want to draft. That was a big part of this whole setup. Hey, we get Dan in here. Now we can start focusing on who Dan recruited in that time that would work here. Should they keep the pick?
JSJ says, how many years do you guys think AD has left in him? Joe has been more, how should I say, I think it's bullish when you're more positive on the situation. I believe that's using the stock vernacular. I think you said 3 or 4 years, and I am not as sold on it because the fact he signed that extension and signed it right away, leaving tens of millions of dollars on the table that he could have waited to sign this off season, that extension. And the fact that the law of averages and looking at his seasons, the statistics don't bear out him playing at a level of 77 games consistently in the next few years. But again, you see otherwise, and he is a star player, regardless of what people say, 1A, 1, whatever you want to say, Joe, out there about him. He is a star player, and I agree with Joe on the fact that if you do trade him, which I have advocated for, I don't think you're going to get dollar for dollar on what the value is for him right now.
You're not going to get an even, anywhere near an even trade.
Yeah.
So if you want to know why the Lakers, if you want to know why Anthony said yes, let's look at his numbers. Okay. Anthony Davis at the end of 2023, before he signed the extension, had already made an approximate number here of $227.7 million. That's before his new number came in this last year, which he got paid a little over 40 mil. This next year he'll get paid 43 million. The year after that, 57.5. The year after that, 62 million. And then his last season, which he has a player option, is 66, almost $67 million. So he will be close to $500 million before he retires based on the contract right now. How much more do you want him to make, Gerald?
I don't know. It's just frustrating, Joe. I mean, with LeBron, you're going to have to commit a lot of money to him because, and again, he has all the control in this situation. AD, again, his situation, he understands his body, Joe. So that's why he signed early instead of waiting it out the entire year, because he did not have enough faith in him playing himself.
That's the plan. That's the plan, Pale. That's the plan. The plan is that down the road, if we have the funds, the means, the resources, is to make sure Stone is compensated, because you don't find those kind of guys with that information and that intellect in this. It's very important.
But if we get, I'll just say this, Joe, I'll say this out loud. If we get to 100,000 subscribers like all those others and become a full-fledged, full-paying YouTube channel, we won't be able to keep Stone because some NBA team will snap.
Good. That's a good thing, though.
That's
because now we have one of our own connected officially with the league. That's
what his dream is, everyone. That's what he's always wanted.
And we're going to try to campaign for him as much as we can too.
I mean, our goals are similar to what Dan, the Lakers fan, and we would like to be like Lakers Nation as far as having that base of fans that's far and wide. We're blessed what we have now, but we're always looking to be more because we like to be self-sustaining. Right now, Joe has other priorities, both family and financially, and so do I. We'd like that one day to be changed. We hear all these stories. I just read a story from a YouTuber this week that he just hit over 100,000 subscribers. And for the first time, he can officially say he can leave whatever vocations he has and now become a full-fledged YouTuber. It's a dream of his to be. It's been our dream. It's been my dream to be a self-sustaining podcaster since 2009. I'm not there yet, but I certainly would love to be that to be the case at some point in time. And then to be able to reward those who have helped me get there as far as within our fan base, as far as whatever we can do there. And then, of course, the panelists that come on the show on a regular basis. That would be the dream. That would be the goal. That would be really cool. Mr. Beast, the hundreds of millions of viewers and subscribers that he has. That's great and all that. But, it'd be better if we could go ahead and have I wanted a shared experience, Joe. I wanted voices, not just one voice, not just hearing me 300 plus days a year. I wanted you out there to hear from a base of Lakers fans. In fact, if you think you could do what we do and want to jump in, you're more than welcome. Hit me up, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. In fact, I will probably sometime this summer again reach out and say, hey, you want to come on the show? You're more than welcome to. Xbox, he came on the show on playback, so I'm hoping to get him here one day as well. So, One Fly, appreciate the positivity. Much love to you, my friend. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Mississippi Dog, if I'm not mistaken, was your old moniker. I could be wrong on that, but I think it was. But again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching this. It's weird, Joe, that everybody else out there, the rage, the angst, the anger, the frustrations, Laker Tom throwing F-bombs in public, and yet you and I are not ranting and raving as well. It's just weird. It's just because the fact that we saw this coming the whole time.
Well, there's a line I remember in a movie. Well, if you just take the blinders off. It was just a simple line in a movie. I always laugh. I always think of that line. You can if you just take the blinders off. It was just a well executed line that can be used in life. We put blinders on our eyes so that we can feel happy, so we can think positive. We do it, I know, because it's draining. Negativity drains the emotion. But it's the reality. At what point are you going to finally say enough is enough? LeBron James isn't good enough to carry a team. So unless you equip this team with enough talent to combat that, how are you going to win a championship? You have a general manager who doesn't know how to close. How are you going to fix that? You have an owner who should have never been an owner. And you pigeonhole all of us. You pigeonhole all of us as in the public in a position. You put us in a position where we can't really criticize because of other reasons. Screw that. I don't care about your reasons. I'm about results. And I don't care who you are, what you look like, or where you're from. Rich, poor, came from the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, another country. If you suck at your job, you deserve to eat it if you keep sucking at it.
Xbox, all I'll just say is when Astrobot is the only thing that's coming out for you this year, things are not good for you as a PlayStation fan in 2024. Xbox thoroughly kicked their ass. I mean, kicked their ass this past weekend with that showcase. Finally. But the problem is, for me and for a lot of other people, it might have come 3 to 5 years too late. They should have done this, and they should have had this kind of set up already years back. But again, is it too little, too late? We'll find out for Xbox. But I've been very supportive of the Xbox this generation through all the lean times and all the tough times. And finally, it will be paying off in the near future. But speaking of which, before we head on out, Joe, I don't know if Intel's here asking you to drink once more, but anything that you could update us on Corrupt, on how your weekend went?
Corrupt right now is slated to send out a trailer soon here, any minute. We couldn't get one with Jeff Keighley because Jeff Keighley wanted $350,000 to promote the trailer.
$350,000 from indie developers for this.
Mm-hmm.
not used because it wasn't 50, it was 350.
I heard 350. If it was 50, we still wouldn't been able to do it. We focused on the development of the game, and we still are enhancing it. You're going to see voiceovers in this next trailer. You're going to see a lot more production value. And then right now, unless there's a platform discussion that extends this, Corrupt is slated to go to be available July 19th next month. And it'll be on Steam.
Well, there you go. The next fighting game sensation, Corrupt.
My comparison to this is I look at, and this is from my perspective, I look at Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken as the three networks back in the 80s. It was NBC, ABC, and CBS. I'm saying we're going to be Fox coming out the gate as the fourth network in the end. That's what I'd like this to be. I'd like Corrupt to be the part of the big four. There's a story behind Corrupt. There's merch. There's animated series. There's a story here.
What even if it gets the level of Blaze Blue, Joe?
Sure.
That's pretty.
And I'll hey, look.
Killer Instinct.
I'll take. Look, Killer Instinct has approximately 14 million fans. I'll take 10% of that because that's the one game they have been comparing us more than any game. This looks like KI. This looks like KI. This looks like Killer Instinct. Give us 1.4 million of Killer Instinct's fan base, and this thing will take off. It will be an esport game. There will be TV, movies, merch galore, and it'll keep coming. We got stuff waiting in the wings, G. We got things waiting in the wings. It's not just going to be. We're not going to sit there, make our money, sit back, and fiddle around with our you know whats. No. The level goes up the second we get those resources.
BD on Twitch, what's up, my friend? Great to have you here as always. Our vested and our true Twitch follower. I have not forgotten your thoughts on a Discord channel, BD, for the Lakers Fast Break. Still contemplating that as well. I cannot stand Discord, BD. I'm not going to be dishonest with you, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. So if I did, I would be getting in touch with you, and I'll leave it at that. But he wants to know about a clip or a link for Corrupt.
Yes, you can go to just put Corrupt, and Corrupt is spelled COREUPT. The part of the story is the what are aliens to Earthlings. No one. This isn't Earth. This is an Earth story. This is a universe story. The cores. You'll learn about the cores
in the chat.
Yeah,
for everyone.
So Corrupt is spelled COREUPT, and if you put that in Google, you'll see a lot of stuff. You'll see a lot of stuff pull up.
I put the YouTube link for his entire channel.
Thank you. There. Jesse Wright is the head developer, and we are an indie. We had some really good compliments come our way. I actually had a really good time at the Gorilla Collective.
You didn't get me that selfie with Jeff Keighley.
We weren't around him.
Okay.
We weren't around him.
I'm putting it in the chat, BD.
We know that the fighting game genre is a niche market, but this was the only way we could do it with the budget we had and the team capacity we had. And we believe that we have a game here that's going to resonate. We just need the eyes and the ears and the fingers to confirm it.
Well, I'm going to leave it right here on the screen for a little while. But before we head on out, Joe, I do want to close out our comments and our situation with, of course, the Lakers and the mishandling of what went on today. I can't say I'm surprised, Joe. I was not surprised. That's why I'm not mad. That's why people asked me, my wife, my kids, are you mad? Are you sad? I said, I'm not really. I'm kind of numb to it because this is what I've seen, the fall from grace for several years. I mean, we take one step forward and take 3 steps back each and every time. Went to the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, that's great. But the decision making constantly from that hierarchy at the upper office, the front office, the ownership, the governorship is what's been a problem. So, yeah, that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not too upset because this is, you could foresee this happening. The ineptness is.
I think the frustration is when will it? How many times are we going to continue to hope for something to end, to find what can fix this, and then we find something else and it's still not enough? When are you going to? When are you going to finally make the right calls? You're going to make a really bad call here soon with LeBron James getting an extension. If you can't get the right coach, I don't see any point in having LeBron come back. And if he is coming back because the contract says he can opt in, okay, at least you have something to look forward to next year as a Laker fan. You know that it's over in a year.
But what if he signs for 3? What if he gets to the 3 for 160?
Then they continue to show their inability to run a basketball team. It would have worked if you can bring in the talent and have the right leader as the head coach. But they can't. They couldn't even get a coach. They couldn't get the correct coach in here because they either didn't pay him enough, didn't entice him enough, whatever. It doesn't matter what it was. They can't close. And LeBron is going to sign a 3-year extension because he can, not because. And this is the only spot he can do that. And Jeanie and them, they'd say, well, if we're going to suck, at least we suck with LeBron James on the team. We'll always have noise around us. Okay. Knock your socks off at that point. They know we're going to keep watching. Well, unless Bronny's brought in.
Well,
I'm
Xbox.
not going to watch.
Oh, my apologies, Joe. Xbox was talking about console sales, and so was OneFly, and so was BD. Hey, I'm going to say this. When it comes to console sales, this generation has not sold as well as previous generation, especially on the Xbox side, but even PS5 too. They both overall, when you look at the overarching, the Switch has outsold them both. But with Xbox, they've seen, and I'll give them their due, they understand that while I still argue that they should be more aggressive on their console sales, Joe, the Xbox Game Pass is something that they can market to other venues like PC, like smart TVs. I thought they see it as a subscription service that they just don't need a specific console for. So at least I applaud them for that. But yes, this console generation has been a little bit of a downer as well.
My favorite console of all time is always going to be the Super Nintendo. But in terms of the next level consoles, which is Microsoft and Sony, the Sony PS3, and I know Xbox 360 is right there with it. But one of the reasons why I love the PS3 is my favorite game is The Godfather. The first one, not the second one. The second one was an absolute disaster. And I first played it on the PS2, which was a phenomenal console as well. So was the PS1. But the PS3 did some things that I liked. Number one, they had backwards compatibility. And they enhanced the Godfather game from PS2 to PS3. I thought it's one of those things where, thank you for doing that. I will now do more in buying and supporting this product since you did that for us. Because now I didn't have to keep my PS2 so I can play Resident Evil or 1 to play one of my other favorite games, which is Resident Evil Nemesis, right? Yes, the technology and the graphics and all that were not good, but it's still fun to play. The greed will always be ultimately what takes things down. And the sad thing is they don't have to be greedy. I would continue to buy your product if you weren't so goddamn greedy. But they're not. They're just, these executives are just, they don't care. They don't care is not even, it's an understatement. They want you to suffer so that they can gain. Make it easy. But they don't want to do that.
But the Lakers, again, are still looking for a coach. And in the coming days, I'm sure we'll hear what direction they go a little bit more clearly. But as I think the lesson has been learned, as I mentioned earlier today, I think, the Shams, the Wojs, the Jovan Buhas, Mike Trudells, whoever you get your Lakers news from, you cannot always believe it as soon as it comes out. The zeroing in, intrigued, whatever you want to say, Joe. That's been the problem, but that's been in light of all this, I think that's the one thing we should take away.
You want to start bringing some, the media has always been a problem in any era. This isn't new. But, the media has conniving hacks. It's what it is. But in the information age that we're in, it should be less and less at this point. Because we can go online and find information relevant to what's going on. We can watch any game we want. We can actually see what's going on now versus there was a time where we didn't see road games unless you had KCAL in LA and things like that.
That's one thing we need to get rid of. Blackouts. Blackouts need to be just gone. Blackouts is 1983.
It's back to the greed.
There's no use. I'm with all that's going on in technology, Joe. There just is no need for blackouts anymore.
No. And the beautiful thing about now, people shun the internet and shun social media. No, folks, we have it really good as a consumer now. You want to get greedy, folks? We'll find a way to watch the game without giving you the money. Look what's going on with the NFL right now with the Sunday ticket debacle. Have you been following that? Of course, the NFL has been keeping that noise, and the networks have been keeping it under wraps because they're all skanks to the NFL, right? But there's a huge lawsuit right now that no one's talking about. It won't end the NFL. It won't put them in a position where they're going to hurt. But their greed is so immense, and we suck it up and eat it up and support it in an indirect way. So the only way I can combat it is I'm going to tell everyone I have the means to watch anything and everything in the NFL without paying a dime.
And that's the thing, Joe.
Because of your greed. Now, just so you know, I'm not two-faced. You can probably find anything you want on the internet, any kind of TV show, any kind of movie. So just so you guys know that I support the good things. I bought the box set of The Sopranos. I bought the box set of Entourage, Breaking Bad, Married with Children, In Living Color, The Martin Show. I bought those box sets. I didn't have to. I could have found them. And I still did. I did both. But I still bought the Sopranos box sets and all these box sets because I want David Chase, I want Vince Gilligan to be paid for what genius shows they made. That's for them. I want them to get paid for what they gave me in terms of enjoyment. But we don't have enough of that.
Yeah.
You know, you want me to get this Sunday ticket situation, but then you take it to YouTube instead of DirecTV, where I have a connection, where I have to rely on an internet. I like streaming when it's a secondary option, or it's under my control. My control, I have a server in my house for my movies and my TV shows through a program called Plex. But it's my server. I control the server. I control the information on there. I control the internet. I don't control what's going on with YouTube. And what if my internet goes out too, right? What are the options then? Whereas in DirecTV, unless it's raining really hard, which even when it did rain the last, I don't know, 13 years I've had DirecTV, it maybe didn't work maybe 3 or 4 times. It always works. Now I got to go to YouTube. Now I got to do this. Now I got to do that. For what? Now I got to go get Peacock. Now you're making me get another damn streaming app. When before it was
or you just have to get a VPN.
I'm an escalation guy. I have the energy and the want to work around your BS. Most people don't. Most people are lazy and they have the thumb up their rear end.
It's just archaic, and it's time to go.
Of course, it's archaic, but it's greed.
If somebody's going to go to the game, they're going to go to the game. If they're not, they're going to watch it at home, and they're going to find a way to do it.
Yeah,
it's just that simple. It's just an irritance. All right, you're going to just.
You know, it's also an archaic measure.
I'll just go around.
The archaic measure is the Nelson's ratings, and I think they need to stop telling us what the Nelson rating is.
Yeah,
the NBA. The first NBA game had the lowest rating since 2021, and then all of a sudden, Game 2 had the highest rating in the last 5 years. Why are you telling us this? No one cares? It doesn't mean anything anymore. The World Series was drawn a 4. They still have the World Series. So what exactly is going on?
The only ones who care about it is the demographic, the 18 to 49 demographic number, not the total millions. They don't care about me, Joe. And pretty soon they won't care about you either, because you'll be beyond the 18 to 49 advertising window for them. They don't care about the 5 million viewers overall total or whatever, Joe. They care about the 2.5 or whatever million that actually are between the ages of 18 and 49, the prime target advertising dollar numbers. That's who they want. You're still in that number. You're still in that mix for 2 more years. I am not. They don't care about me anymore. That's the way I read it. So that's why I agree with you that the Nielsen numbers are irrelevant at this point in time.
The Nelson ratings are irrelevant, and the fans at games are irrelevant. It's extra money. That's all it is. Because the TV contracts they're almost guaranteed at this point, and they're getting whatever they want. Even the NBA now is getting whatever they want.
Don't you think the baseball would have done something about the Oakland A's drawing 300 or 400 people a night some time ago? They finally are doing something now, or they're doing, A's are doing something else. Don't you think they would have done something sooner if the TV money was bad?
I don't think Major League Baseball gives 2 craps about the Pirates, the A's, the Orioles, none of these teams.
Well, the Orioles now are drawing because they're
Pirates, especially. The Pirates had arguably the Royals, the best stadium in baseball, and didn't mean anything.
3 Rivers.
PNC.
Oh, that's right. They graduated TNC. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know me, I go, we are family. I go way back. But yeah. That was actually kind of fun to watch at the time. I was just a kid, but that was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, Pittsburgh had 6 championships. No, I'm sorry. 7 championships if you count Pitt's national championship in 77 in this decade of the 70s, which is why they were coined the City of Champions.
Well, my friend.
That's pretty funny, Pale.
Again, I'm my hope is that we in the past 2 hours have been able to help you. And help you with what you're going through right now.
Intel's helped us a lot in the last 2 hours.
Helped us a lot. Intel, God bless you, my friend. Yeah, I'm so sorry to everyone out there that we can't run it, that Joe and I can't knock on the doors in El Segundo and say, we're here to take over because you aren't doing the good job good enough. And bring in Stone and bring in the better minds and all this that can actually read the room. But you know what? It is what it is right now.
But Pale, I had a theory that I talked about earlier today. I don't believe that number came from anywhere near LA. I believe that number was a
plant by the agent.
Plant that this is what it's going to take to get Dan over there.
Because that's what they are. They're not news reporters, the Wojs and Shams of the world. They're sometimes, quite often, a mouthpiece for the agents that work with them.
It was a subtle suggestion by someone within that camp.
In Joe's opinion.
That if you want, this is my opinion, this is my theory, that they put that number out there saying the Lakers are going to need to pay 100 to 115 to 120 to coax Dan Hurley to the Lakers. I don't even feel like it's a theory. I'm pretty sure in my head that that's exactly what that was.
That's sound reasoning.
There's no other way that there's no reason for that number to be pulled out of someone's rear end. There's no reason. Who pays a coach $100 million? The only coach I've ever heard that got paid $100 million that I can remember is John Gruden.
In football, I believe. Not soccer, European soccer. I believe
I don't count soccer. I'm an American. I talk about American sports.
Well, I'm just talking. I'm answering your question so that somebody doesn't, call you out on it. There's big money over there. Manchester United, all that. That's huge money. They're worth more than the Lakers for a reason.
They got played like a fiddle.
Yes.
Like they always do. They got clowned by Carmelo, by LaMarcus.
KD,
which he was never coming, but got clowned by him.
Kawhi
clowned them really good. Luckily, they were able to still win a championship after that.
Ty Lue.
No.
You don't think that? Even though he was just lowballed?
Lue played himself on that deal. I don't blame the Lakers on that.
Okay.
Monty, too. I would have rather had Frank Vogel. I still would rather have Frank Vogel right now. I don't remember, other than a few instances where I thought he made some bad decisions on offense. Other than that, I don't remember ever being irritated by a Frank Vogel coached game. If anything frustrated me his last year in LA, there wasn't enough direct issues vocally towards Russell Westbrook, but we ended up finding out that there was stuff going on behind the scenes. And his reward was getting fired because of that guy. Your mistake, and you fire the coach for your mistake. How much more cowardice can you be?
Well, we'll see. And of course, we will be here to report on it each and every time out as the coaching carousel / circus turns. I feel like this is another soap opera. The Lakers just have a lot of drama. They just embrace the drama, Joe. That's part of the reason why I think the Lakers are so drawn to audiences. That's why ESPN has a mandate to give you as much Lakers as you can handle, even to general audiences. Because someone out there in some other part of the country is probably, why do they spend so much time on the Lakers? Why do they spend so much? They always talk about the Lakers on ESPN. Well, because the Lakers generate buzz, they generate news, they generate conversation, they generate interest. Whether you like the Lakers or you don't like the Lakers, you know the Lakers, and that's part of the battle. I mean, it's just part of what makes these sports entities tick. It's why we're over 1,600 subscribers strong, and hopefully, with your help, getting stronger. And hopefully, we can continue that strength going forward. But yes, it doesn't hurt, Joe, that we're not the Hornets fast break and that we're the Lakers fast break, because Charlotte, they wouldn't have much to talk about for 300 days a year.
Yeah, some of that ungratefulness does creep into my head. Are we ungrateful as Laker fans? Lakers have given us so much. But winners don't stop, folks. 6 isn't enough. 17 isn't enough. It's never enough. Tom Brady said it best when he was asked, "What's your favorite championship?" His answer was the next one. I don't know if he's the one that coined that first, but he's the only one I've ever heard say it. When you sit in complacency and being comfortable with what you have, that's good for you. I'm not wired like that, unfortunately, and most Laker fans aren't. We're greedy. We want to win. And it's unfortunate that we're not going to see the Lakers finally eclipse the Celtics of,
Oh, that's when I'll be pissed, Joe, is when they win here later this week or next week.
It's getting worse.
That's when you guys will see.
It'd be a little bit more tolerable if we weren't at the cusp of the Celtics winning right now and getting ahead of the Lakers again. I'm 46 years old. Yeah, I'm not old, but you never know.
According to the advertisers, you are.
You never know. You really never know when your time is done. And I won't care when I'm dead, but while I'm thinking about it now, I would have liked to have seen the Lakers eclipse the Celtics in overall titles at least once in my life.
I'm 55, Joe, and I'd like to see them do that as well. So let's try to hang on for a little longer, my friend.
Yeah, we're going to need Kyrie and Luka to go into stealth mode here the next 4 games.
And they need better performances from their 3 and their 4. PJ Washington and Derek Jones, they've been giving them nothing in this finals.
Well, maybe there's some adjustments that get made here for tomorrow's game, and also role players typically play better at home.
Yeah, they do.
But last time I checked, I believe the Celtics haven't lost a road game yet. Is that true?
Well, they actually won game 2 for change, so
yeah.
We'll see if that throws things off. But Luka,
so maybe they're due. Maybe they're due a loss on
Luka turning the ball over and missing those free throws. He even admitted that was bad. So we'll see, my friend. But it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. We truly appreciate you joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm still planning on doing shows on, regardless of who the Lakers have as a coach or not. We're going to talk about it. Got the draft coming up, got free agency, which should be very important to everyone out there. So a lot of decisions that are going to be very important for us. Lakers Nation, aka Danny, saying hi from Santa Monica. Truly appreciate you being here. Xbox all the way around the world, in Australia, everybody all over the world, Canada, Mexico. Doesn't matter where you are or where you're at. We truly appreciate you joining us. Any last thoughts, Joe, before we head on out?
No.
Okay. No more drinks, Joe? I think Intel passed out. That's for you, Intel.
I'm done. Here's for you, Intel. Thank you so much.
I'm going to finish mine off.
And everyone else, especially my Aussie crew.
Cheers to everyone out there for staying with us for 2 hours. All right. And on that note, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glasser. Please, if you have not yet liked this video, share it. Let somebody know about us. If there is a Lakers fan in your life, let them know that there's a great channel out there like the Lakers Fast Break that can entertain and shares opinion and has a great place to go for conversation on the Lakers. And there's no better place to do it. And there's no better place to do it this week, this month, this year, or whenever than the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Thanks, everyone. Be safe.